pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very
Political cause thing. Yeah, all those people that are protesting on the streets, 99% of them are losers. The other ones work for the Fed.
I have a whole joke about that. It's like fucking, you know, if
it's
I was
FBI agents and losers. That's all it is. The whole fucking, every protest is FBI agents and losers.
I talk about this all the time. I'm like, for me, you want me to join a protest? You want me to get out on the street? First of all, to make a sign? The fuck out of here. And then
you don't have to make the sign. There's a guy with a van that's paid by George Soros.
Yes.
And he's got stacks of signs that were made at Kinko's. Okay, they're not homemade at all. And you just fucking just pass those bad boys out.
Yeah, I'm never leading a revolution. My problem is my sign would say, ugh, or it's complicated.
Yeah.
Political.
Oh my God, those guys are usually good for a laugh. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. Hello, my name is Drew, and I'm an alcoholic. Drew, get off the bottle. It's a dry morning here, isn't it? Good morning, my fellow freedom fighters. Happy warriors. Pineapple patriots, they're calling us. The media has been inquiring. You've tuned in the Wake Up America show. We're broadcasting live from the Fortress of Reason and Coffee, founding flavor specifically. Check it out at the Grift Shop, at thegriftshop.com. We're going to have so much fun today. The 45 people who are already here are in for such a treat because if they stay the whole time, they're going to have the most fun ever. LW78 is here. Now we can really party because L-Dubs, we missed you on the Friday night show, the Freedom Arcade. Everybody's like, where's L-Dubs? It's not the same without you, brother. Make sure you hang out with us on Friday nights at 8 p.m. Central on the Freedom Arcade. This week, this is it. Battlefield 6, guys. We're going to play. And then we'll do the party games too. But we're moving the party games to the morning for the bonus content to unlock. If we hit $100, you get the mini documentary and you get to play the game to win real prizes. So make sure that you watch the whole show today. And like Quest Fanning, he just bought his ticket for an entry into the game at the end of the show. If we raise $100. What are you talking about, Austin? Well, basically, we have this game show mode. We call it Liberty Loot Live. Some call it the Great Grift Off. But everybody who plays is a winner, gets something. And one lucky person takes home a really nice prize from forlibertyshop.com, which is a lot of fun. So this is not just another talk show that you're watching. This is your daily briefing from the front lines of the American culture war and global culture war for liberty. This is where we trade victimhood for victory, excuses for excellence, and memes for meaning. Memes that have meaning. I see that some of our morning motivational memes, I don't know if Brad has seen some of the comments on it. People are mad at me lately, and it's because of Jews. On social media. Libertarians really despise it when you have a change of heart or when you have open minds about things and you think about things too deeply because every political movement is a cult. And I like to consider myself something of a rebel amongst rebels. A rebel for sure, but methinks you've had too much to think. Now, we are going to go into so many great topics today, and I wish I had time for a million more because there's so much breaking news. But I do have 3 fantastic guests on the show today. 2 of them will be together in a way that is interesting. Camelia Peterson will be joining us at 8 a.m. Central. I'm trying to think of a way to say that artfully. Camellia will join us at 8 a.m. today. We're doing Thirsty Thursday on Tuesday today. So Camellia will be here to talk a little bit about the Thomas Massey fight stuff, a little bit of the what's going on in Republican intrigue here in the state of Missouri. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about the student loan forgiveness plan. I wonder what you guys are thinking about that from the Trump administration. I know a lot of people were not. I'm sure Camellia is not going to be happy about it. I'll tell you why I'm not, fuming. Why I'm not fuming from the nostrils at this over Trump. First of all, if you do this, I'm just going to say, I'll give away part of this, but if you're constantly just fuming, I know you're supposed to be, especially in my industry, I'm supposed to be full of rage every single day. Like if you really want to dominate the airways, you have to fill it full of hatred and rage, and your problems are because of other people, because most people have a very high external locus of control, and everybody else's problems, you got to just blame it on someone else. That's the way to win. So if you ever hear me, we've got a lot to talk about with Camellia. It's going to be a great discussion. I had a great debate with Sarah Higdon yesterday. I'm ready for more debates on this show. What do you guys say? You want to hear more debates? My brother contacted me yesterday, Justin. You know what he said? He said that he really enjoyed the debate with Sarah because it wasn't a brainless insult fest. It was spicy, but it was brainy. We were having real substantive discussions. We like to say that the Wake Up America show is silly shirts and serious news, and it is. It sure is. Siggy's mom, she's got it going on, but just because we have serious news doesn't mean we can't laugh. We can still have a good time. Glad to have her here. Student loan forgiveness from Trump. I have not heard. I feel defeated. Well, don't feel defeated either, Andy. Feel the strength, the power. We will take power. We will take power unto ourselves. And like Marcus Aurelius, we will initiate a feeling of stoicism. And this stoicism will divine in us the non-worry that comes from understanding that there is nothing that we can change about that right now. There is nothing that can be done about it. And therefore, as Marcus Aurelius would say, why worry? Or Alfred P. Newman would say, Mad Magazine, what, me, worry? Keep donating. I need a challenge. He wants to play. Keep that bonus content money coming, guys. As soon as we hit 100, you're going to unlock both phases. Today is a little extra bonus for y'all. We've lowered the bar so that you guys can play Liberty Loot Live. But first up, the Conservative Compact for Universities. Washington's cooked up a deal that would tie federal funding for colleges to conservative reforms. This is ending race quotas, ditching the diversity deans, maybe teaching the Constitution again for the first time in 30 years. So see, there's reasons to live. There are some on the right who are fighting back. The left is melting down. The faculty lounges are trembling, and I am here for it. Now, I'm not saying that the government should micromanage universities, but when you're spending my money to tell kids that math is racist, I think a little accountability is overdue, don't you? What do you think? Send us a text. Especially if you've already made a donation this morning, send us a text because we're going to get you a code a little bit later on the show to play our Liberty Loot live gaming where you can win real prizes, where you will win real prizes. You just have to get your ticket with a Rumble rant or a purchase at the shop. So we're going to talk about what this conservative compact actually does, who's fighting it, and why it might be the first sign that the pendulum is finally swinging back towards sanity. That's the A1 segment. It's going to be, or that's the A2. I messed it up because I wanted to switch it around and talk about the faked crime statistics. The Democrats have been cooking the books, which we all assume that they would be doing. And we are going to get into that this morning. I've got a great segment cooked up for you. Andy Opperman says, if you're distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but due to your estimate of it. And you have the power to revoke that at any moment. Ah, yes. Andy, you need to start coming to karate on Wednesday nights, bud. You need to start coming out to Parks and Rec. I need more of you guys if you're in the mid-Missouri area. And I know some of you are. I saw T-Mill22. I don't know if she's here this morning, but she was reading my lessons from a modern-day karate sensei post I had made yesterday on the JC Parks and Rec karate page. And it's all about standing on one leg and how the expectations are that if you ask anyone, and I always, when they come in my class, like, who can stand on one leg? I love the kids all raise their hand. They all can stand on one leg. And then I said, okay, here we go. Stand on one leg. and they all just, as soon as they do it, they all start wobbling and they all start falling over. So the body shows what the mind, everybody thinks that they can stand on one leg. Oh, I know this. What's the lesson here? Well, you must unlearn what you have learned. Unlearning. The process of learning usually comes with a step, and we don't even think about it. The process of learning comes with a step of unlearning, because as we get older, our confidence in ourselves can increase. An ego can grow too large, and we think we know everything. We think we know how to stand on one leg, but then the body reveals what the mind cannot. And on Wednesday nights at 5:30 p.m. Central for the kids, and then at 6:30 p.m. for the adults, I am a Japanese karate sensei. It's one of the proudest accomplishments of my life. It's certainly not something that was on my bucket list at one point, but I take profound seriousness and nature of the honor to be able to influence the lives of young people in such a way. It's a position of responsibility in the community, and I didn't even really think about it until I took over how much I would be learning from this experience. Yes, onegaishimasu. Amy J. E's, you need to come down on a Wednesday night. Everybody, I need all my ninjas. I need all my happy, healthy, lucky pineapples to join me in Jefferson City. You're not too far away, Amy. I know you work your butt off, but don't you think it feel good to sweat, right? Do some punches, right? Hang out with me, Steffi, baby Hazel. Come on, guys. Let's go. Get on the mat. I won't hurt you. Well, maybe a little. All right, so we're also going to talk about another story that's putting the left into full panic mode. Reasons to live. A brand new study says that the number of college students identifying as LGBTQ plus is actually declining. Oh my God, the left hates this so much. They are so mad. They are so mad. That's right. After years of every dorm room turning into a gender studies seminar, the tide may finally be turning. We'll unpack the data, the outrage, and what it says about the future of identity politics in America. And we are going to have some fun with it, because if pronouns are crashing faster than Bitcoin, somebody's got to chart the market. Hookah chaka, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah chaka chaka. I can't stop this feeling deep inside Dave Shurman. Girl, you turn me on. How are we feeling? Are we hooked on a feeling? We're going to have some fun today. At the top of the next hour, the philosopher queen of this program, Camellia Peterson, the lovely, luscious Lady of Liberty, who I know you all love, is going to be joining us on the show today. She's going to talk about something that might shock you: student loan forgiveness from the Republicans. Donald Trump. Wow. I didn't see this coming. Did you? I freely admit I'm shocked. I need better sources inside the administration. So Camellia is going to talk about that. And I'm going to ask, I'm going to play a little devil's advocate. I've been having fun lately playing devil's advocate, representing the devil for free. Ding, 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 ding. Did we just unlock the bonus content? What the hell is wrong with you people? It's not even 7:30. You're supposed to make me beg all the way to the end of this show. Thank you, guys. Your financial generosity is absolutely insane. I hope that I make you smile every day, and that I like to think that you donate, because I really do make you feel good, and that it's more than just a show. We're a real community and real people, and thank you so much again for all of your all of your kind donations. Shirt off at 200. Oh God, no. All right, guys. So Camellia's on the show, and then we're going to close the show today with something awesome. I'm so excited. Ashley and Hannah, who I think we might have sparred in the past, but now we kind of find ourselves looking at things the same way. Ashley and Hannah from a podcast called Red, White, and Bi. Talk about identifying. I should ask them about what they think of the college campuses identifying less as gay. As a couple of bisexual females who will be here with us together. They're in the same place. They're going to be with us. Ashley and Hannah from the Red, White, and Bi podcast. They're funny. They're fearless. They're fed up with tribalism to both sides. We're going to talk about how one of them went from the far, far left to now considering themselves center right. And then the other day, even though we agree with they agree with me on a lot of things, I said, I think that liberty is losing because libertarians are weak, not because tyranny is strong. I know I got a lot of people angry, but they were like, word. We need strong libertarianism, like we need strong karate. Os! Onegashimasu! Ichi, ni, san, shi, go, roku, sichi, hachi, kyu, ju. John and KC, what's up, brother? It's nice to see you, man. The credit card, man. It's nice to have you here, bud. So today's show, policy, culture, philosophy, and humor, all on one broadcast. Liberty should make you think, and it should also make you laugh. Where's the joy? Did you read my piece? 10 ways libertarians can save Western civilization. Bring the joy back to liberty. Why gotta be surrounded by like these guys, these like anti-war guys that look like they've come from the Dallas Buyers Club? Dave fucking Smith wearing a hoodie everywhere, looking like trash. At least put a pineapple shirt on, for God's sakes, you slovenly lower class. Richard Bell says Camellia gets it. That's right, because Camelia's high class libertarianism. Clean, heterodox libertarianism. BB for Liberty says, if you contribute to the show and your boss didn't play in a meeting during game time, make sure you text the show to get your discount code. Yes. The Wake Up America show is old school talk radio format with a new podcast twist. We call ourselves the Pineapple Crew. We've called ourselves many things in the past, but we are a group of people who are dedicated to the American revival. We went to the Smithsonian Museum together this year. I led a tour, the Smithsonian Museum of American History, and they told me to take this flag and they told me to shove it, essentially roll it up, because it might be offensive to people. Well, not in my country, damn it. This is America, and I was born here, raised here, and I am a son of the American Revolution, and I will fight for American liberty. Everybody's got to stake their claim and plant their flag. Well, mine is right here on the flag of liberty. Amy J.E. says she's got a meeting at 8. I'm sorry, but that's not allowed. You've got to watch the whole show because we've got some big stories. We are going to talk to you a little bit about the crime statistics or I should call it crime statistics with big quotation marks, because it turns out that some of our Democratic-run cities, now I know you guys are going to, this is going to blow your minds, but it turns out some of our beloved Democrat-run cities are cooking the books harder than a Michelin chef on Adderall. They are cooking them. Didn't it always feel like we were being lied to? Did you ever wonder if you're psychic? Well, maybe you are. First person to drop that in the chat gets a free entry into the game who recognizes that quote. The first person to answer gets a free entry into the game show at the Liberty Loot Live at the end of the show. So if you're wondering whether crime is going up or down in the United States, the answer is yes, maybe, kind of. It depends on who you ask and how honest that they are. So according to the FBI's own Crime Data Explorer from July 2024 to June 2025, violent crime nationally actually declined, right? Murder down by 8%, rape down 17%, robbery fell almost 5%, aggravated assault dropped a whopping 14.8%. So it looks like really good news until you put on your X-ray glasses and you start looking at the cities, once you start filtering this. Because while the national picture says, relax, America, everything's doing fine, nothing to see here, but local prosecutors, city mayors, and particularly a smug governor by the name of J.B. Pritzker are out here. Yeah, I know. That's no moon. That's J.B. Pritzker. J.B. Pritzker of Illinois out here telling you that crime is plummeting like a stone. But guess what? Behind closed doors, the DOJ is quietly investigating whether those numbers are being straight up falsified, not just delayed or miscounted, but actually manipulated. It would be a juicy, delicious snack for the Department of Justice to find that J.B. Pritzker didn't omit, but may have actually cooked the books. Of course, fraud is a different matter when it comes to criminal proceedings. So Barney Stiles said the answer, he got it, Starship Troopers. Barney, you get a free entry into the game at the end of the show. Remember when under Biden they warned of a spike in hate crime? The increase was entirely attributable to Biden's FBI requiring more law enforcement agencies to report hate crimes. Thank you, Quest Fanning. And you get an entry into the game show. St. Selma says, why report a crime when you know the criminal won't suffer consequences? Yikes. Sad and true. That's a womp womp trombone for you, Selma. So let's start with Washington, D.C. Now, the mayor's office there, she has been proudly proclaiming a 35% drop in violent crime. 35% is not a drop in crime. That is a swan dive. Something's up. That's like turning Gotham into Pleasantville overnight. But meanwhile, internal union sources and federal prosecutors are alleging the violent crimes, carjackings, stabbings, are being systematically reclassified as misdemeanors or lesser offenses to clean up the stats. It's like declaring bankruptcy by yelling it into the void and hoping no one notices. I declare bankruptcy! Whoever gets that quote gets another free entry into the game show at the end of the show today, Liberty Loot Live. First person to type it. Remember, you got to text Brad at that phone number you see at the bottom of the screen to get your code, which we'll be giving out as we get closer to the end of the show. So let's talk about incentives. So Governor Pritzker, he's out here giving victory speeches. He's been bragging that shootings are down 80% in some areas. 80%? Really? The DOJ says that felony counts aren't actually declining. They're just being labeled differently. It's the criminal justice version of, we didn't fire you. We just moved your desk into the basement. Whoever can guess that one gets a free entry into the game show at the end of the free code into the game show at the end of the show. All right. So here's the incentives. I mean, why would the cities lie, right? Aside from the obvious politics, obviously votes. But here's the thing. If you can make crime go away on paper, you don't have to solve anything in real life. Your re-election ad just writes itself. Your city looks great in headlines. Your funding keeps flowing. Mayor brought about 80% drop in crime. Yeah, because they reclassified, because they cooked the books. That's why. It's not that hard. It's easy. Like taking candy from a baby. Thormock just got a free entry into the show. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's how elementary it's gonna be. Don't try to hide it now. It's easy. It's so easy. So here's the danger, because this isn't a victimless crime. When citizens are told they're safe, but their lived experience tells them otherwise, the trust in these institutions evaporates and the social contract breaks down. You get a country. There ain't no social contract, Dawson. Okay, well, the Constitution has that. Okay, so let's hit some hard data of some other cities. Let's look at this. San Francisco says violent crime dropped 14% and property theft plummeted 21% in last year. That sounds great, but if you drive over to Oakland, just across the bridge, and violent crime rose 6%, everywhere you look, there are missing data, asterisks, incomplete reports, pending updates that never seem to arrive. In D.C., again, the DOJ is actively investigating the Metropolitan Police Department for intentional underreporting. Their murder rate still ranked among the top 5 cities in the nation in 2024, even with this supposed 35% drop. 35%. They really think we're stupid. They think that you're an idiot. Well, if you're watching a show like the Wake Up America show with a taxation is theft sticker and a pineapple, maybe we are the only sane ones left in an ocean of madmen. There's something special about the Wake Up America show audience. There's something special about the For Liberty Network. You know what it is? We're happy. And with happiness, I've found, comes luck. We are a happy, lucky group of people. The pineapple is our good luck charm. It's our symbol. It's the secret society of the pineapple lovers, the Wake Up America show. We may be small, but we are mighty, and we are punching up above our numbers. Make sure you click the like button if you're a real pineapple today. Then click the like button. If you're not a pineapple yet, click the follow button. Every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time, the Wake Up America show streams live, and I'd love for you to be a regular guest. It's an old school talk radio style format news show where we have an absolute blast for 2 hours in the morning, 5 days a week. If you want to be in a good mood in the mornings, why would you want to listen to people who are going to make you depressed? Come on, guys. Join the Pineapple Show. We're the crew with all of the fun in the mornings. So make sure you click follow. 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday Central. You can see that we broadcast this stream. John, my former radio guy, would be very unhappy to hear me say broadcast. It's not broadcast. Jefferson City, 48 degrees Fahrenheit here in the middle of the country. Jefferson City is the capital of Missouri. And it's the heart of the Midwest. T-Mill 22 loves pineapples, looking very good and very nice. Let me tell you a secret, T-Mill. It's time for you to join me in the adult karate class on Wednesday nights. We got a new session starting.
Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very good, very nice.
All right, so let's hit some hard data. San Francisco says violent crime dropped 14%. Property theft plummeted 21% in the last year. Sounds great, but you drive over to Oakland and then the violent crime rises 6%. So in D.C., the DOJ is actively investigating the Metropolitan Police Department for intentional underreporting. Their murder rate still ranked among the top 5 cities in the nation in 2024, even with the 35% drop. So if this is what a victory looks like, I would hate to see a loss. All right, let's not forget New York City, of course, where robberies are supposedly down 6%, but subway crime is up 22%. And that's with half the incidents that are caught on camera. So now imagine what's not being reported. Imagine what's being reclassified as a lost item instead of a mugging because the police chief got a phone call from City Hall. And the worst part of this, of course, is that the media is often complicit. They run these shiny numbers like they're the gospel truth. I mean, do you have anybody who's just been one-shotted by the legacy media that they still are watching the legacy media and believing the statistics and data and numbers that they're getting? They're reading the Associated Press. They think it's news. I go to hotels, and when I see a copy of USA Today, I know I'm surrounded by brain-dead lemmings that read this stuff, because if you do read that stuff, you're an idiot. It's leftist propaganda. Don't do it. Wake up. Wake up, sheeple. They're lying to you. Now, don't get me wrong, guys, because at times crime has genuinely decreased in America. There are real victories out there. There are dedicated officers, community programs, good policy. But what I'm talking about today is not real crime reduction. This is statistical gaslighting. This is crime theater. It's waving around a bar graph that says peace and prosperity while a guy in the background gets carjacked on live TV. You know what I'm saying? And what is this all doing? Feeding into? Perhaps the renewed popularity of Trump?
That's exactly right. Turns out shutdowns are different the second time around when it comes to Donald Trump. Take a look here. We speak about Donald Trump shutdowns, net approval rating. We're talking 20 days into it. In 2018/2019, Donald Trump's net approval rating was already falling. The shutdown was eating into his popular support. It was down 3 points already at this particular point and would fall considerably more. It was very much on the decline. You come over to this side of the screen. This shutdown hasn't eaten into Donald Trump's support at all. His net approval rating is actually up a point in terms of his popular support. So the bottom line is this. The first shutdown during Trump's first term, 2018-2019, was hurting Donald Trump. This one is not hurting him at all. There's no real reason Donald Trump might say, at least when it comes to popular support, I want to get out of this shutdown.
And you're blackpilling? Donald Trump is going to give the federal government is shut down right now and you're blackpilling? Hell no, not here, not today. How can you not see a pineapple and smile? that not only is the federal government shut down right now, but the Democrats are losing the battle over it. Donald Trump is having a PR victory. It's increasing his poll numbers so much that even CNN can't ignore it. They can't do statistical gaslighting like they do with the crime statistics. They've got to report on what's happening here. And now Donald Trump actually has a good positive incentive to keep it closed because his enemies were the ones who closed it, and they have to come to the table and stop giving health care to illegal immigrants. Yes. 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 Good morning, pineapples. Welcome to the Wake Up America show. You're looking very good and very nice. I love you. I love you. I love this audience. You guys already unlocked the bonus content. That means before Princess Camellia joins us today at 8 a.m. Central Time, we're going to have the bonus content play, and I've got a fantastic Lego mini documentary for you that's going to blow your mind. You do not want to miss a single minute of the show today, because not only are we going to have great guests, and then we've got the co-hosts of the podcast, Red, White, and Bi, the LGBTQ community. Red, White, and Bi will be here. The ladies, the lovely ladies of Liberty will be joining us in the second hour. So you do not want to miss the second hour. We're going to have so much fun, lots of laughs, lots of cute gals, and we're going to end the show with a game show, Liberty Loot Live, the Great Grift Off. Am I working hard enough for your pineapple money? Have I earned it? I think I have. That must be why you guys unlocked the bonus content already. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I was tired the next morning. So here's what you do. Don't take the numbers at face value. Ask questions, compare reports, talk to people on the ground. You know, here I use my eyes, my ears, and a little something called common sense. If a mayor says that crime is down, but your neighbor just had his catalytic converter stolen again, then you know something's rotten, okay? And the Department of Justice, Trump's Department of Justice, they're not content to just keep racking up the wins all over the place. They're hinting at a coming audit. Oh my God, please. Names could be named, charges could be filed. Oh my God. And if these allegations hold water, it'll make Chicago, DC, and San Francisco look less like cities and more like crime cartels in municipal clothing. So keep your pineapple upright, my friends. Good and hard. Spiky on the outside, sweet on the inside. Don't buy any narratives until you read the footnotes. We're going to keep hammering this story because this is about threats to our life, our liberty, our property, and the places that we live. We should take back the cities in this country. All right, so let's talk about the conservative compact for universities. I love this story. This is straight from the headlines. Yes, this is real. I'm looking for some wins, some reasons to be happy this morning. Even if you're smiling like Heath Ledger in The Joker, this should warm your cold, cold heart. The Trump administration has rolled out a plan that would tie federal education funding to certain campus reforms. So this includes cutting so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucracy, ending race-based hiring. Brace yourself, guys. Requiring universities to actually teach civics and Western civilization again. No. All perfectly timed to coincide with my speech in Colorado last weekend. 10 ways libertarians can save Western civilization. You guys, 50,000 people have read that. 50,000. In an age of universal brain rot and of TikTok and of Reels on Instagram, so for some reason, 10 ways libertarians can save Western civilization with this one weird trick. It's been read over 50,000. I think it's climbing. It's actually gaining momentum. My post is on the Grift Shop. You can read it over on the blog, but this is no grift. American libertarianism is diseased and dying. Liberty will not die from tyranny, but from cowardice and moral weakness. My speech I gave to libertarians in Colorado is a manifesto for those who refuse to kneel and those who are tired of losing in the name of purity. My speech here condensed is a guide for liberty lovers to wield power without losing their soul. Read it, share it, arm yourself. Here is the article, 10 Ways Libertarians Can Save Western Civilization. It's pinned to the top of my X account, AP for Liberty. That's me. See, we're live. While you're there, read Libertarian Nationalism and Manifesto. I think I'm getting under people's skin. I think people are finally starting to nail down what I'm all about. And actually, I think in part it's because I'm starting to really nail down what I'm all about. Certain things are becoming clearer to me. While some things have been shrouded in mystery, and while I had many unknown unknowns, some unknown unknowns in the past 5 to 7 years or so have started to become known knowns. And no longer do I dwell in darkness, but I see the light. And I lift up the torch and I light the way for others. Amy J. Eves, Thormac, Kermode Bear join us live on the Wake Up America show. I'm sure they've all clicked the like button, just like you have, right? We watch the Wake Up America show to feel good for the memes, because everybody deserves beautiful dreams filled with pineapples. So the Trump administration is rolling out a plan that is going to tie, education funding to campus reform. And, of course, the left, it's like you propose burning down Hogwarts from the way that the academia is reacting. Faculty are writing open letters. Students are holding academic freedom vigils that were freedom to your money. One tenured professor in New York claimed that this compact would destroy the spirit of inquiry itself. Oh, no, not the spirit of inquiry. Nothing kills curiosity faster than a stack of DEI paperwork and a trigger warning on Plato. The premise of this compact, this conservative compact, is simple. If you want taxpayer money, you must serve the taxpayers' interests. You can still teach Marx, but maybe, just maybe, you should also mention Madison and Montesquieu for a while. So let's be clear. I am a libertarian nationalist. My instinct is to get government out of everything that doesn't explode or road paving. Perhaps I'm open to the idea of government not even building roads, however. But we don't live in that world right now, do we? The left has treated education like a captured fortress for decades. Remember the long march through the institutions? It's time for our own long counter march through the institutions as well. These are the bastions. The cathedrals fighting against our ideals. It's time to fight and take back these institutions that we pay for. They took taxpayer dollars, they built ideological castles, and then they aimed the catapults at American society. I'm sorry, but that in my mind is a clear violation of the non-aggression principle. Am I right? Don't worry, Thormac, about the like button. That's why I issue the reminder. I just always try and do it in a fun and clever way. But thank you. Yes, I appreciate that. Clicking the like button helps us a lot. So if the state wants to walk in and say, we're reclaiming this fortress, I'm not going to cry over a few fallen statues of Vladimir Lenin. Let's talk about why this matters, because for the first time in years, the right isn't just complaining about woke universities and then surrendering. We're changing the incentives. And this is what power looks like, the ability to alter the rules of the game. You don't want to, why would you want to sit down and play 3-card Monty with the liberals forever? I know a lot of people are addicted to losing. I certainly am not. I'm allergic to losing. That's why I like Trump. I like to get sick of winning. And in my opinion, this conservative compact, this is a win. So the right is fighting back, and they're changing the rules of the game. And here's the fun part. According to early reports, over 60% of public universities are considering signing into the compact. That's huge. You know what that tells me? They'll scream about principle, but they'll cash the check, because ideology pays worse than interest on student loans, I'll tell you. Everybody's a communist until their check doesn't clear. And then suddenly it's our check, comrade. Oh, the capitalists and them always comes out like the claw, the monster claw. So, of course, what's happening on the left? They're losing their mind. The New York Times headline says, Trump weaponizes funding to silence dissent. Awesome. Weaponizes funding. But, I mean, that's adorable. What do you think that the DEI grants have been for the past 10 years? A bake sale fundraiser? No. Let's look at the numbers. Since 2015, federal agencies have spent over $13 billion on diversity programs across higher ed. The average university DEI department costs more than the entire history department. And they wonder why the founding fathers have been erased from the syllabus. The DEI's dean is making twice as much as the guy that's teaching the Constitution. That is bullshit. It's time to stop. Republicans pounce. Yeah, conservatives pounce. Amy, you know the headlines. You're awesome, Amy. Come to karate on Wednesday nights. Yeah, it'll hurt, but it's fun. Here's what gets me, guys. So they call this censorship, of course, when the right does it, but it's curriculum reform when the left does it. They get banned. They ban books, fire professors, forced ideology on students for decades. Now the pendulum swings back, and suddenly they rediscover free speech. It's like watching vegan protests of the existence of cows after eating 3 cheeseburgers. You know what I'm saying? Look into it, Amy. It really would be fun and a nice little healthy experience and a good bonding experience because we pineapples, we got to stick together, man. Don't we? So here's my real take. So the conservative compact, it's not about censorship. It's not. It's about competition. The administration, the Trump administration is saying that we will fund excellence, but we will not fund indoctrination. If you want diversity, that's fine, but try diversifying your thought once in a while. Sound good? All happy? And if the universities don't want to play ball, fine. Let them compete with new institutions. Hillsdale, PragerU, Liberty, whatever, right? That's how it's going to be. Just compete. Competition and ideas is American as pineapple is upright, is it not? Upright? Not upside down. Never upside down. Unless it's the Red, White, and Bi podcast, in which case Hannah and Ashley are going to be here at 8:30 today, guys. Are you going to miss it? What's wrong with you? It's when the pineapples get really weird. I know some of my libertarian friends out there are going to clench their pearls. They're going to say, Austin, that's government interference. Yes, it is. But here's the question. Is it interference when you take back a car that the thief stole? The left nationalized education. We're just repossessing the vehicle of the mind. And we won't drive it. I promise not to drive it on government roads. How's that? Good morning. New phone. Who dis? Rvolt24. Where have you been, brother? We're wasting away without you. Siggy's mom asks, is there a problem in the For Liberty shop today? Having trouble? Let us know. Send us a text at 573-319-1586 if you ever have any trouble like that. If you have questions, send us a text. Send us screenshots to that text line if you see like error messages on the website sometimes. Just let us know what we can do to make a better experience for you guys. Amy J.E.'s with the real questions. Don't want the government telling you what to teach. Stop taking taxpayer money. Amen. We all agree. So here's where this gets really interesting because the culture is already reacting. Professors are actually starting to tone down their lectures. This is what victory looks like. DEI coordinators are scrambling to rename offices, their departments, offices of belonging instead. I kid you not. Now, Arvold asks is an interesting question. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole on this one. You ask, is the Grift Shop on Amazon Web Services? Do you know that I don't know? Because it's Shopify, that we use Shopify. They could be an Amazon host. Let's check that out. It looks like the Grift Shop's working for me. Hold on. I wasn't having any problems yesterday. Let's take a look. Oh, it still looks like it's there. I'm checking the... Everybody check the Grift Shop right now. Go to forlibertyshop.com. Tell me if it works. Yeah, we had a purchase earlier. Head over to the Grift Shop at forlibertyshop.com and let us know if you're able to click on things. Let us know if the checkout works. So buy something from the shop and see if it works, guys. Can we get a test? Everybody go to the shop and buy something. Buy 2 things. And that would be great. Everybody give the shop a test. So here's the moral of the story. Power isn't evil. It's neutral. It matters what you do with it. And for decades, our enemy used it to teach kids that America is a villain. It's time to take this power to remind them that liberty built the world that they take for granted. 15 minutes left until Camelia Peterson joins us live on the show. Then the ladies of the great podcast, Red, White, and Bi will be here at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. We're drinking coffee strong. We're talking about the conservative compact for universities. And you guys want to talk about cultural victories here in the United States? Here's another win for you. A brand new study out of the Center for Heterodox Social Science, love it, has the left in full meltdown mode. It shows for the first time in nearly a decade, the number of college students identifying as LGBTQ plus is declining. Yeah, declining. You'd love to see it. The share of students identifying as something other than straight dropped from 23% in 2023 to 17% in 2025, according to a survey of over 25,000 students nationwide. This is crazy. So, this, and of course, you know, the students aren't disappearing. They're just checking fewer boxes. And of course, the activist media is freaking out about this. The Them magazine called this study dangerous propaganda. Vox said that it was statistical violence. Oh, they got their crime statistics? Well, we got your homosexual statistics. Bisexual, trisexual, homo sapiens, carcinogens, hallucinogens, men. Pee Wee Herman, first person to get that reference in the chat gets a free entry into Liberty Loot Live at the end of the show. To sodomy, it's between God and me. Imagine getting punched in the face by a bar graph. Statistical violence. Us. It wouldn't be the Wake Up America show if it wasn't Ashley Ann hanging out here in the chat. Statistical violence. Numbers are violence. I told you, it's the math thing. This is that Simpsons sketch, I think. Not to make it a gender thing, but we are talking about LGBTQIA+. This is what's been happening inside of our college rooms. Wait. Hold on. Gender difference. This is going to get me demonetized. Here we go.
Many diversity forums. Why is it that women appear to be worse at math than men? What is the source of this illusion? Or as I call it, the biggest lie ever told.
You're a worse version of Hitler.
Please believe me, I understand the problems of women. See?
The principal's a tranny.
Am I wearing women's clothes? I didn't notice. When I look in my closet, I don't see male clothes or female clothes. They're all the same.
Are you saying that men and women are identical?
Oh, no, of course not. Women are unique in every way.
No, he's saying women and men aren't equal.
No. It's the differences, of which there are none, that make the sameness exceptional.
Now that the boys and their atmosphere of intimidation are gone, we can finally breathe. Breathe, ladies. Now let's buckle down and do some math.
Yes!
How do numbers make you feel? What does a plus sign smell like? Is the number 7 odd or just different?
Are we gonna do any actual math problems?
Problems? That's how men see math, something to be attacked, to be figured out.
But isn't it? I mean, confidence building can't replace real learning.
Lisa, sounds like you're trying to derail our self-esteem engine. Let's sing it back on the tracks.
The best thing I can ever be is to be okay with me. Me!
Oh my God. That's happening in our schools. So here's my theory, is that the resistance, the rebellion, the leftist rebellion became homework. Back when being gay, bi, or trans was countercultural, it carried some risk. It was an identity that was forged by courage. But now the university made it mandatory. The moment you turn rebellion into a campus credit, it stops being cool. You can't make radicalism boring and expect it to survive. Even my most progressive friends who still talk to me, many don't talk to me anymore. Bless their blue-haired hearts. They're tired of being told to update their bios every semester. Many of them are. The average freshman can't even keep up with the acronym anymore. LGBTQIA2S+. The guys, that's not an identity. That is a password reset. That's the one that they choose for you automatically with all the exclamation points. Wow, nice numbers today. Nice to see you all. We're going to have Camelia Peterson joining us here live in about 10 minutes. She's going to talk about all this and more. And since we're talking about education this morning, we're going to talk about what's happening with Trump's student loan plan. That's student loan forgiveness plan. That and many other topics, as well as the ladies from Red, White, and Buy, a podcast that they're going to be with us today at 8:30 a.m. Central Time, and they're going to talk to us about how they went, how they took the right turn after being hard left for so long. We're going to hear how these ladies went from being fully indoctrinated leftists to now center right, liberty loving right wingers, just like the rest of us. How did they get here today? Aren't you excited to hear from Ashley and Hannah? We're going to have a freaking great second hour. You guys can't go away. I wish I had more time to get into all of this, but I'm going to get as much through this as I can. And then I got to go get Camelia. But I guess I got the bonus content to play for you guys. I don't have any time. I don't have any time. It's the bonus content for you guys. Enjoy. Congratulations. You unlocked it. You're making me like a successful podcaster here, guys. It's working. Anakin Skywalker, it's working. It's working. All thanks to you and all of our friends on the For Liberty Network. We'll be right back.
As promised or threatened, if you wandered over to Reason by accident, the Trump administration has started using the government sort of shutdown as an opportunity to engage in mass layoffs of federal employees. In the game of chicken between Republicans and Democrats over just how much the government should overspend and on what, the losers so far appear to be some of the almost 3 million Americans who thought federal employment would be a comfortable way to collect a paycheck. Setting thousands of former government workers loose to seek jobs elsewhere, preferably not involving money forcibly extracted from taxpayers, is a step in the right direction. Shutdowns are mostly political theater. As we all should know by now, government shutdowns are largely political theater. National parks and museums are closed to inconvenience the public into believing something big is happening, even as taxes keep getting collected, and government enforcers continue twisting arms to make sure people comply with laws and rules that never should have been imposed. The Brookings Institution's David Wessel pointed out last week, the Justice Department said 90% of its employees would be exempted from the furlough, and the Department of Homeland Security said in its 76-page contingency plan that roughly 95% of its nearly 272,000 employees would remain on the job if a shutdown occurred. Agencies accomplish this by defining essential employees who remain on the job in the broadest way possible. Paychecks may be delayed during the shutdown, but after it ends, employees who were required to perform accepted work during the lapse will receive retroactive pay. And employees who were furloughed as the result of the lapse will receive retroactive pay for those furlough periods, according to the Office of Personnel Management. Basically, all federal employees eventually get paid whether they continue to work or are sent home for the duration of the shutdown. An opportunity to reduce the federal workforce. At least that's how it usually works. This time is a little different because the Trump administration came into office promising to downsize the federal government. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, was supposed to accomplish that goal, but the shutdown offers another opportunity. Even before furloughs began, the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, sent out a memo noting, with respect to those federal programs whose funding would lapse and which are otherwise unfunded, such programs are no longer statutorily required to be carried out. Therefore, consistent with applicable law, including the requirements of 5 CFR Part 351, agencies are directed to use this opportunity to consider reduction in force, RIF notices, for all employees in programs, projects, or activities, PPAs, that satisfy all three of the following conditions. 1. Discretionary funding lapses on October 1, 2025. 2. Another source of funding, such as H.R. 1, Public Law 119/21, is not currently available. And 3. The PPA is not consistent with the President's priorities. The White House is apparently taking this opportunity seriously. Around 4,200 employees were laid off in total on Friday, reports Eric Katz of Government Executive. The biggest cuts were at the Department of the Treasury, 1,146 employees, and the Department of Health and Human Services between 1,100 and 1,200 employees. The Department of Education, which President Trump proposes to totally eliminate, also experienced layoffs, 466, or nearly 20% of its remaining workforce, as did the Environmental Protection Agency, Homeland Security, and Housing and Urban Development. Everything this administration does seems to involve a bit of chaos, and the latest rounds of reductions in force are no different. While hundreds of employees of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, were included in the layoffs, some were fired by accident and immediately rehired. Among those wrongly dismissed were the top 2 leaders of the federal measles response team, those working to contain Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo, members of the Epidemic Intelligence Service, and the team that assembles the CDC's vaunted scientific journal, the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, according to Apurva Mandavili and Cheryl Gay Stolberg of the New York Times. That's unfortunate, but after the chaos inflicted on not just the United States, but much of the world by the public health establishment and its presumptuous interventions into business, education, social life, and the broader culture during COVID-19, it's difficult to summon much sympathy for CDC employees. If we end up cutting out a little healthy flesh along with the disease, perhaps they'll understand. In a sign of more layoffs to come, the OMB posted an October 14th statement on X promising to pay the troops, pay law enforcement, continue the RIFs, reductions in force, and wait for the end of the shutdown. Scratching Leviathan? While further reductions in the size of the federal workforce are certainly welcome, the layoffs will have to become significantly more aggressive to more than scratch the federal Leviathan. While smaller than its peak at 3.4 million workers in 1990, and then again in 2010, the federal government still employed 2.9 million people, not counting military personnel, as of August 2025. That's almost 3 million people living off the taxes collected by the federal government, or increasingly the money it borrows, rather than productively creating goods and services for willing consumers. And those nearly 3 million people aren't all just sitting around. Too many of them get up to mischief by exercising the power of the government to interfere in people's lives and to enforce intrusive rules and laws. Just see my comment above about the public health establishment and the pandemic. Fewer federal employees mean not so many mischief makers to cause trouble, along with some cost savings. Some will complain that the federal layoffs, like the shutdown, cause real inconvenience to those dependent on government. But that's only because government officials have done their best to create dependency on services, permits, and subsidies to make it seem like we need them. The problems expressed in political shutdown posturing and battles arising from government failure to perform duties it has arrogated to itself provide no endorsement for placing even more power over us into government hands. Pepperdine University economics professor Gary M. Gals observed in 2021, laying off government employees during a phony shutdown is a messy way to reduce the size of government. But we'll take smaller government however we can get it. Picture this. It's 1776. Thomas Jefferson is hunched over his desk at Monticello, ink-stained fingers, writing the most radical document in human history. Do you really think he was sipping Starbucks? No. He was drinking something bold, something black, something brewed strong enough to fuel a revolution. That's the spirit behind Founding Flavors, our signature line of liberty-fueled coffee. No soy froth, no climate guilt, no corporate slogans. Just real coffee, inspired by the men who wrote freedom into existence. Every cup is a quiet protest. Against mediocrity, against tyranny, against bad coffee. So this morning, skip the globalist brew. Grab something worthy of a free man's sunrise. Founding Flavors. Now brewing at forlibertyshop.com.
They feel like their president is not listening to them and frankly in some instances has said we're the enemy simply because we disagree with them. You're saying that's not a good use of time. You're criticizing these people who went out to be Americans and say they love their country and want their president to listen to them. That's not a good use of time. That's outrageous.
Well, no, I mean, normal people were spending time with their family and watching college football. I don't care how they spend their time. If they want to go out, if they want to go out and protest, be my guest. They're welcome to do it, and I don't really care whether they do it or not. But I just happen to think if I were Democrats, I would rather have directed that energy into the campaigns that are going on this year instead of marching around the way they did. But listen, you guys spend your time however you want. It's a free country, not a monarchy.
Karen? Well, and yet the president, himself has sort of waffled back and forth.
No kings but Christ, some might say. Good morning, pineapples. Looking very good and very nice. I'm Austin Peterson. We're glad and thankful to have you here. If you haven't clicked the like button yet, what are you doing, JJ? 4884. Click the like button and the follow button as well if today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show. I'm so excited about the second hour. Princess Buttercup Camelia Peterson joins us live here on the Wake Up America show. Good morning, Princess. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us for your regular Tuesday spot. Good morning.
No, I was thinking about that clip you just played, and it is it is the trouble of grassroots politics, really, is that all of those people, yes, they could be saving their energy for backing the candidates who will get the things done that they want to get done. But such is the life of the grassroots base, and that it's much more difficult to get people out for the boring part of campaign than it is to go rally against something that, they get excited about or that they hate or they can be against. You always want to be against something, not for someone.
One thing that I've learned from my 17-year-long career in politics, Camelia, is that people would much rather put on a performance art piece in public than they would to knock on their neighbor's door and say, will you be voting in the upcoming Republican primary?
Yes.
But we're glad that we have people like you who are actually out there doing the hard work, the yeoman's work of liberty, if you will, working for liberty causes here in Missouri, and we're thankful that you're on the case, Camelia. We've got a lot to talk about today, so let's hit the stories hard and fast, and then we'll get out. Get in, get out. Student loan forgiveness. Didn't see that coming from the Trump administration. What about you?
So I kept seeing little snippets about this, and then you said something about it, and I was like, what is this really? So I kind of did some digging on it, and I think it's not
It's not exactly as the media is reporting it?
Yeah, I don't think it's the big deal that people are thinking that it is.
Okay.
I read through and I was like, okay, this is probably, yes, are they at some point, doing some loan forgiveness? Yes, but it's pretty far out and has a lot of requirements. And I will admit, I don't fully understand and did not dig into the premise of the lawsuit by the American Federation of Teachers. So this is somewhat an outcome of that lawsuit. But the reality is that these student loans, there are still requirements, so students will be given a certain, time frame to move into different loan programs. And the only forgiveness that comes in is they have to meet the criteria of making payments on loans for 20 or 30 years or making a minimum number of payments. And there are other stipulations too, as far as if they're working in certain fields or if they're in public service. So there are different stipulations like that, but it is by far not blanket student loan forgiveness and does have a lot of requirements.
Okay, so the media lied to us. What else is new? Camelia, it's a challenging time to be a libertarian, especially ones like us who work in the Republican Party, because my heart is with Thomas Massie. And my head is with Donald Trump. And what the heart wants what it wants, but the mind sees great victories brought to our cause, to the great victories. All of the libertarians who are in jail are getting released by Donald Trump. He brought us Neil Gorsuch. He's fighting for a conservative compact to remove DEI from universities. And yet the people who we share our ideas with the most think he's one of the greatest enemies of liberty. A lot of it is filtered through the lens of their love for Thomas Massie, which I can totally respect and understand. But why are people who are supposed to be so grounded in rationalism so irrational when it comes to Trump and this question of the war that's broken out, the open war between Trump and Massie now?
I mean, I think to a certain extent, this is fight or flight, right? I mean, and the problem is I don't think a lot of those people were in that camp until Trump decided to come out and start, going after Massey and, creating a pack, right, to try to unseat him. And then you had, the 3 billionaires or whatever coming. Like, it is like all of these things sort of piled up. And it creates a resistance in and of itself that may not have necessarily been there if not for those actions. And here's the thing, I do think that, it benefits Trump to have Massey to hit, right? But it definitely benefits Massey because he has, record-breaking fundraising quarters. I mean, there are all kinds of things in it for him. I mean, I don't think anybody would argue that he's not going to get reelected except for people who are not looking back at when this happened before or ignoring that.
Well, here's the thing. I am not blind. I have 2 eyes and can see. My depth perception is very acute. My sensitivity to what's occurring around me is such that if I notice something or a pattern or a trend, I see it, I point it out. Usually I see it before most people do. I see trends and patterns before most of the wider public does. And hanging around the Thomas Massey circles online lately, what I hear in my ear, sometimes whispered, sometimes very loud, is when we're having this fight, it's about Jews, 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 Israel, Jews, AIPAC, Jews, 7,000 Jews, 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 Jews. And it's just really odd because it feels like a strange trend of like a new wave of supporters. Of Massey has gained a new wave crop of supporters lately. And they seem to be very obsessed with Jews. And Thomas Massey seems to be feeding into it with sort of hopping onto the whole Marjorie Taylor Greene, bandwagon of targeting AIPAC, which, I don't have a strong opinion on AIPAC either way. But why does it seem as if like the Massey fans have suddenly become obsessed with Jews? Is it because AIPAC is attacking Massey or is it something else?
Well, no, I do think it's because of AIPAC attacking Massey. But here's the thing, Thomas Massey has had that whole no foreign lobby, whatever, on his door for quite a while. It's nothing new. It's certainly not within the last few months. So I think that as this kind of became, it kind of organically grew as an issue on its own. And then AIPAC, especially after Marjorie Taylor, MTG has kind of gone off the deep end. She's gone far beyond what Massey has done, right? I don't think he even comes close to the level of whatever she's been doing.
What has she been doing? What has she been doing?
Well, when you talk about anti-Semitism and, really dipping your toes in that water, she's come way closer to that than he has by a long shot.
Did I say anti-Semitism? No, I don't think so.
You didn't. No, I know. But we're just going to draw the lines here, right? We're going to go from implication into just saying it. But here's the thing. Because I don't think that he is. With her, MTG is just, I don't know, she gets into these weird things and she has some good ideas and good principles a lot of the times, but then she goes off the rails and what are you going to do? But here's the thing, is
it about the Epstein list? And just from a question of practicality, I asked Sarah Higdon this question yesterday. I was astonished at her answer. But I asked, are the Epstein files worth losing Massey over? Is it? I don't. She said yes, and I say no. I don't think losing Massey in Congress like we did with the Mosh is worth the Epstein files. I actually think it would be a greater tragedy for this country if Thomas Massey was removed from the House of Representatives over this thing. Then they can accuse you of trying to defend pedophiles, and it's ridiculous, Camelia. It's stupid.
So here's the thing, I don't entirely disagree with that. In terms of trade-offs, do I think that that's worth it? No. However, I will say, I'm going to caveat here.
Asterisk.
Yes. It was not just maybe 2 months ago where on this show, we were talking about this issue where he was one of the only people that were still going after this. And here, basically the right writ large was viewing Trump's refusal to do anything else on the Epstein files as a betrayal of what he ran on. And it was literally being the deep state when he's supposed to be cleaning out the deep state. So It's interesting to me that it seems to be that because Trump has ramped up his anti-Massey efforts, and because like this has dragged on longer, primarily because Speaker Johnson is dragging his feet on it, right? I mean, it's really not Trump's fault at this point. It's Speaker Johnson's, although, you know, he may be getting his marching orders from Trump. But I just think, you know, so is it because if it drags on long enough and the consequences get higher, do we like reverse position on that? I don't know. I mean, like, what is that?
No,
worth?
I think we probably have to be. Here's what the most open and honest answer I can give you on this is: if we're making the same calculation that it's worse for Massey to lose than it is to stand down on the Epstein files or whatever it is. However you would set that conflict, that tension point. Once you accept that, then you have to understand, well, if Trump isn't on it, let's assume that he's not on it, okay? And it's not like what the worst accusations of Elon Musk and his, you know, ketamine infused rants would say when he's angry. But let's just assume Trump's not on it, and let's assume that they aren't releasing it for national security reasons because there might be national security implications in it. My guess is that the conspiracy is that it would compromise intelligence operations that the United States is depending on. As bazonkers as that sounds, it would seem to me to be the most likely, right? There are other scenarios. There certainly are. Sure. It's just that's the one that I happen to think the most, and that is why. Because otherwise, I would think Bongino. I just think he would probably, if it was anything else, he would probably have resigned. You know, I mean, maybe he's a spineless, soulless schmuck. But I actually think that Dan Bongino, and I've met him a few times in person, I actually think that he would probably do the right thing if he was in a situation. I'm not saying I completely trust Dan Bongino or anybody at the FBI, but to some extent, I feel like he's a canary in a coal mine, just like Tulsi Gabbard sort of is in a way. If Tulsi Gabbard had quit after the Iran strike, remember when everybody's freaking out about the Iran strike? If Tulsi Gabbard had quit, I would have been like, oh, damn, that's the canary in the coal mine. It's the same thing with Dan Bongino and the Epstein list. I feel like Dan Bongino, if there were poison gas, the canary would have quit. You know what I'm saying? So as terrible and awful as it may be, it's not wise for Thomas Massey to openly war with Trump. In my opinion, I know that there's a lot of confidence on behalf of our people. He's fine. He's safe. He's raising lots of money. But he has to get elected every 2 years. And a lot of people don't know, Camelia, that Massey asked Trump to please stop running ads against him in his district because it was hurting his people's opinion of him in his district, which means it's like the movie Predator, which you haven't seen, when he finally sees the green blood from the alien. And they all say, if it bleeds, we can kill it. Well, if he's bleeding, why would he care? Run all the attack ads you want if it was fine. But he pleaded with the Trump campaign to please stop running these ads.
I mean,
that's a sign of weakness.
I don't know if I would go so far as to say that we can know that he pleaded with the Trump campaign. I think that's assuming.
Well, what else? What other position when you are at a lower position than the person that you're making open war with? He's fighting a juggernaut. And he doesn't seem to give a shit, which is fine. But, you know, if your cause dies with you, then what good was it?
Well, here's the deal. Like if they were wanting him to do something, you know, I mean, you know, he wants to get something for that, right? So what can he get from them other than the most obvious? Look, if you're like, stop going to war with me, right? Yeah, I mean, that to me, that's a logical bargaining chip to work with. But, you know, aside from that, like I think this is a good lesson too. Let's say it is like, you know, because it's going to compromise state secrets or whatever. I think the lesson we can learn here is that maybe people like Trump and his administration should not have opened their mouth and made promises because it totally undermines it further undermines, it's already bad enough, but it further undermines any trust that the American people have in their government officials.
But the thing is, I agree with you, but the problem, of course, Camelia, is that assumes foreknowledge, that they could have known what they were going to find when they actually saw it. So you have to assume that when they finally got everything that they had, they were like, oh God, we can't do this because, and
you think Trump didn't know?
It does. No, I don't think so. It reeks more of incompetence. And I'll tell you why, because the folders.
Oh yeah.
The folders, the binders with the Epstein files in them and all that big photo shoot. It just strikes me as amateur hour more than anything. than people who are like, oh, we're, they said it not because it's evil conspiracy, but because they're like, oh shit. Once they actually saw it, they're like, we can't out our CIA agent who was tracking, international pedo rings, and we can't let them be compromised because people would think they were in the Epstein files, when in reality that's our secret agent who is trying to track down pedo rings around the world. So that's the most charitable. That's the most charitable view of this. And in such a case, who doesn't know shit about it? Thomas Massey. You know why? Because he doesn't have the security clearance. Right? They're demanding the information because they don't have access to the information. That's fine. If that's his crusade, I think he thinks that it's a good one for him. Maybe it is, and maybe he is safe, and I hope he is, and everything's fine. But there's a general lack of foresight from people who share our principles, Camellia, and they all love to jump on their swords and commit seppuku. They love to throw their bodies on the fire. They for some reason, our people worship martyrdom more than the radical Islamists do. And I'm done with it. I'm done with the self-sabotage. I'm done with the unhappy and the unlucky. I now am going to focus on the happy and the lucky, like you, Camellia.
Yes, misery is true. Like, misery loves company. And it really, and I was telling you just the other day, I was like, everything is like, I've probably been less online because it's depressing anymore. And it's constant negativity.
Yes.
And it permeates every part of your life. And Twitter used to be like, I used to love Twitter because it was a mix of the political, but there was also like a fun side and the mundane and like the things that also like, but now it's not. It's like, and I honestly, I'm still an Elon fan, but I actually think it's kind of gotten that way since he took it over. And I think that that's a big downside to it. Is it great that people aren't getting censored as much and everyone? Yes, of course. But the downside with whatever they've done with the algorithm seems to be, and I don't know, maybe it's also our political culture right now, it's just constant negativity. And I think that is not just online. I think online permeates real life.
It does, but then also it does and it doesn't, because there are some times when like I come out of a bit of a fog. I put my phone down and I come out of a fog, and maybe I'm reading or I'm exercising or doing something healthy with my brain. And I start to clear and I look around. And I see people sometimes, we take the kid, Hazel to somewhere where she can play with other kids. Or we're at Oktoberfest, Camellia, the other day. We're hanging out, having a beautiful day. And it's like a spiritual recharge of our brains. And I look around at all those people there. And yeah, they're normies. But their life must be sweet, being the prisoners in Plato's cave that they are. But there is happiness out there, Camellia. There is joy. Yes. There is the fall festivals. How, all the screeching from the anti-Halloween people all these years. Hell, Camellia, you're even celebrating Christmas. Is this your second or third Christmas this year coming up?
I think maybe third. I'm
your
not
third
sure.
Christmas. Congratulations, and Merry early Christmas to Camellia Peterson, who newly celebrates.
No, you are right. And I do think that's where you have to step away and touch grass. And people are people, and everybody has troubles, whether you're in politics or not, right? I mean, it's common to man, and there is beauty to be had, and we have to remember that.
That's number 10 on my list. Number 10 on my list. Find the beauty and the joy of Western civilization.
That's right. Yeah, I'm
Camellia,
a big fan of that.
You have a lot of notes for me from my speech that I give.
I did take some notes. Yeah, no, a lot of things that I agree with. And I think a lot of things that we need to think about too. But, one of the things when you said we confuse purity with strength and believe that touching power corrupts. So we leave it to the people who despise us. And I thought of our friend Tony Lavasco when you said that, because it was Tony who first told me a couple of years or so ago that the problem that we have with the liberty movement in politics is that the ideological people who are driven by the principles of liberty get into office or get into, government work or political work, and you get in so far and eventually they stop, because at some point you have to get your hands dirty, and at some point you have to compromise in order to make progress, and you have to take incremental, successes and gains.
Messy wins. If you want to win, it's going to be messy. You're going to pay a price for it.
Yeah, so I thought about him whenever you said that, because that's something that took me a little bit to accept, shall we say.
Well, see, so you were unlearning. You had to unlearn, didn't you?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, because I would say we are both pretty ideological people, but we've had to, I tell people that, yes, I am still a small L libertarian, but I am a pragmatic libertarian too.
Maybe even a libertarian nationalist, if I can.
Probably so.
Yeah, look at that. But I mean, there are a lot of people who have problems. Did you have any, you took some issues with one of the things I was talking about, Israel, specifically in this.
Well, in your manifesto, that's the only thing. If I was going to change anything, that's probably really the only thing that I would change. And it's not, it's not the concept of it, but the specificity of it. I would like that same thing to apply to any country who meets that criteria, because the reality is that countries change.
But
right?
isn't it important to keep the Hitlerites away? Isn't it important that we send a strong signal? It would be impossible for the National Socialists to feel welcome in such a movement. Therefore, we divorce ourselves from communism. Therefore, divorced from National Socialism, we find ourselves in a comfortable form of libertarian nationalism, because if you say anything nice about Israel, they all depart.
So it's a bit of an anti-dog whistle is what you're saying.
It's a poison pill for purpose. And the only people who are going to die are those who haven't built up the resistance to it.
Yeah.
Okay, lessons from modern day karate sensei, the art of standing still. Camellia, I hope that we will see you again. If you're in Jefferson City on Wednesday nights, come out to karate, okay?
Oh Lord, I want to die.
Love you, Camellia. Have a good one.
Have a good day, everyone.
There we go. That's Camellia Peterson. Lessons from a modern day karate sensei, the art of standing still. Everyone thinks that they can stand on one leg, of course, until I ask them to do it. Then their confident stance collapses, they wobble, the face tightens, the balance goes. Standing on one leg isn't really about balance. It's about awareness, because you cannot fake stability. You're going to wobble all over the place. The body is going to tell truth that the mind won't admit. Most people, we all live in motion, not in mindfulness. We rush from one thing to the next. We assume that we know ourselves and what we're capable of. But when we're asked to slow down, to be still, the illusion that we're in control of ourselves cracks. We find out that our foundations aren't as strong as we thought. The process of learning karate is often a process of unlearning yourself. Unlearning. This is something I've been batting around in my own mind in the last several weeks, especially unlearning. But in this situation, you unlearn the tension in your legs. You unlearn a voice that says in your mind, I already know how to do this. You unlearn the arrogance of thinking that the basics are beneath you. Gichin Funakoshi taught that karate begins and ends with respect, but respect isn't just about bowing to other people, outward respect. You also have to show humility to reality, and reality is often quite humbling. The truth is that mastery begins where comfort ends. One leg, trembling still, pride wavers, breath finds its ground. Balance blooms in peace. I tell my students, don't just stand on one leg, learn to stand within yourself and hold stillness at your center. Breathe deeply in through the nose, out through the mouth, and relax into a simple pose with one leg down, one leg up. When you can find stillness in the struggle and calm your shaking limbs to simply stand in one place, you're not just practicing karate, you're practicing life. This is a way to good character. There we go. Coming up next, the ladies of Red, White, and Bi talk about their journey from the far left to the center right. All that and more. Don't go away. It's the Wake Up America show. We still have Liberty Loot live to play, guys. The codes are going out. Make sure you send us a text. If you've donated today, you're eligible to win some big prizes at the shop. So hit that phone line with your text line if you've made a contribution, a Rumble Rant, and you will get that notification when we go live.
Picture this. It's 1776. Thomas Jefferson is hunched over his desk at Monticello, ink-stained fingers, writing the most radical document in human history. Do you really think he was sipping Starbucks? No. He was drinking something bold, something black, something brewed strong enough to fuel a revolution. That's the spirit behind Founding Flavors, our signature line of liberty-fueled coffee. No soy froth, no climate guilt, No corporate slogans. Just real coffee. Inspired by the men who wrote freedom into existence. Every cup is a quiet protest. If you wandered over to Reason by accident, the Trump administration has started using the government sort of shutdown as an opportunity to engage in mass layoffs of federal employees. In the game of chicken between Republicans and Democrats over just how much the government should overspend and on what, the losers so far appear to be some of the almost 3 million Americans who thought federal employment would be a comfortable way to collect a paycheck. Setting thousands of former government workers loose to seek jobs elsewhere, preferably not involving money forcibly extracted from taxpayers, is a step in the right direction. Shutdowns are mostly political theater. As we all should know by now, government shutdowns are largely political theater. National parks and museums are closed to inconvenience the public into believing something big is happening, even as taxes keep getting collected, and government enforcers continue twisting arms to make sure people comply with laws and rules that never should have been imposed. The Brookings Institution's David Wessel pointed out last week, the Justice Department said 90% of its employees would be exempted from the furlough, and the Department of Homeland Security said in its 76-page contingency plan that roughly 95% of its nearly 272,000 employees would remain on the job if a shutdown occurred. Agencies accomplish this by defining essential employees who remain on the job in the broadest way possible. Paychecks may be delayed during the shutdown, but after it ends, employees who were required to perform accepted work during the lapse will receive retroactive pay, and employees who were furloughed as the result of the lapse will receive retroactive pay for those furlough periods, according to the Office of Personnel Management. Basically, all federal employees eventually get paid whether they continue to work or are sent home for the duration of the shutdown. An opportunity to reduce the federal workforce. At least that's how it usually works. This time is a little different because the Trump administration came into office promising to downsize the federal government. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, was supposed to accomplish that goal, but the shutdown offers another opportunity. Even before furloughs began, the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, sent out a memo noting, with respect to those federal programs whose funding would lapse and which are otherwise unfunded, such programs are no longer statutorily required to be carried out. Therefore, consistent with applicable law, including the requirements of 5 CFR Part 351, agencies are directed to use this opportunity to consider reduction in force, RIF notices, for all employees in programs, projects, or activities, PPAs, that satisfy all 3 of the following conditions. 1. Discretionary funding lapses on October 1, 2025. 2. Another source of funding, such as H.R. 1, Public Law 119/21, is not currently available. And 3. The PPA is not consistent with the President's priorities. The White House is apparently taking this opportunity seriously. Around 4,200 employees were laid off in total on Friday, reports Eric Katz of Government Executive. The biggest cuts were at the Department of the Treasury, 1,146 employees, and the Department of Health and Human Services, between 1,100 and 1,200 employees. The Department of Education, which President Trump proposes to totally eliminate, also experienced layoffs, 466, or nearly 20% of its remaining workforce. As did the Environmental Protection Agency, Homeland Security, and Housing and Urban Development. Everything this administration does seems to involve a bit of chaos, and the latest rounds of reductions in force are no different. While hundreds of employees of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, were included in the layoffs, some were fired by accident and immediately rehired. Among those wrongly dismissed were the top 2 leaders of the federal measles response team, those working to contain Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo, members of the Epidemic Intelligence Service, and the team that assembles the CDC's vaunted scientific journal, the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, according to Apurva Mandavili and Cheryl Gay Stolberg of the New York Times. That's unfortunate, but after the chaos inflicted on not just the United States, but much of the world by the public health establishment and its presumptuous interventions into business, education, social life, and the broader culture during COVID-19, it's difficult to summon much sympathy for CDC employees. If we end up cutting out a little healthy flesh along with the disease, perhaps they'll understand. In a sign of more layoffs to come, the OMB posted an October 14th statement on X promising to pay the troops, pay law enforcement, continue the RIFs, reductions in force, and wait for the end of the shutdown. Scratching Leviathan? While further reductions in the size of the federal workforce are certainly welcome, the layoffs will have to become significantly more aggressive to more than scratch the federal Leviathan. While smaller than its peak at 3.4 million workers in 1990, and then again in 2010, the federal government still employed 2.9 million people, not counting military personnel, as of August 2025. That's almost 3 million people living off the taxes collected by the federal government, or increasingly the money it borrows, rather than productively creating goods and services for willing consumers. And those nearly 3 million people aren't all just sitting around. Too many of them get up to mischief by exercising the power of the government to interfere in people's lives and to enforce intrusive rules and laws. Just see my comment above about the public health establishment and the pandemic. Fewer federal employees mean not so many mischief makers to cause trouble, along with some cost savings. Some will complain that the federal layoffs, like the shutdown, cause real inconvenience to those dependent on government. But that's only because government officials have done their best to create dependency on services, permits, and subsidies to make it seem like we need them. The problems expressed in political shutdown posturing and battles arising from government failure to perform duties it has arrogated to itself provide no endorsement for placing even more power over us into government hands. Pepperdine University economics professor Gary M. Gals observed in 2021, laying off government employees during a phony shutdown is a messy way to reduce the size of government. But we'll take smaller government however we can get it.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Yeah, it's a whole network. We've got 4 shows now. We've got a 5th one coming this fall. Mylan Salabaria, keep an eye out for that. A spicy Latina with a flair for liberty. Cafecito Libre will launch this fall. Keep an eye on Mylan Salabaria and join the 4 Liberty Network's Discord server so you can get updates when our new shows launch live soon. All right. Now, I'm not saying that the left is losing the culture war, but when even bisexual women are defecting to the freedom side, you know that the tides are turning. These next 2 ladies, they went from organizing marches with the pink hats, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Far left here, pronoun pins, to sipping Founding Flavors coffee. Well, maybe not yet, but we need to get them a box from the Grift Shop at thegriftshop.com. It's a liberty shift. Please welcome the co-hosts of Red, White, and Bi, the Freedom Femmes themselves. Joining us live here on the Wake Up America show is Ashley and Hannah. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Austin. How are you?
Doing good. All right, so we're going to go back. Take us back to your peak left phase. What were you doing? Who were you listening to? Introduce yourselves if you don't mind, and tell us how you went from far left to now center right.
Well, I'm Ash, and I am definitely going to have to give this one to Hannah after I described that I was never on the left.
Okay.
I was raised, I'm a cashew-raised Republican, and when I went to college, I, of course, had my libertarian phase. I went to the University of Michigan, and I saw libertarians on campus like with gun registrations for people. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So my first election, I, of course, voted for Bob Barr.
Nice.
And was really excited about him, and I loved him.
Yeah, I worked on that campaign. That was my first presidential campaign I worked on. All right.
Yeah. And then I voted for you in a primary.
Oh,
and then,
hey, all right.
You know, and really like, I told Hannah, like my big libertarian phase was really like you saying, I want gay married couples to defend their marijuana fields with machine guns. I'm like, this guy is it, you know?
Number one.
But like you, I think after a while, I came around to the idea that maybe the Libertarian Party itself wasn't exactly realistic. I think part of growing up is holding on to the ideals that you have, but maybe knowing like you got to be a liberty person who infiltrates the bigger parties to really affect the change. Hannah was very different. She has a much like more of a roller coaster. So I'll let her tell you a little bit about herself.
Yeah, I'm afraid I bear the full brunt of the responsibility of having been on the left. I had a wildly different upbringing than Ash. I don't know if you're familiar with Jesus Camp, the documentary.
Oh, yeah.
But that was pretty much my childhood. And so the pendulum swings the other direction, right? So I was like rabid feminist, very left. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on the show, but I wore a shirt to the Trump-Hillary election that said "Pussy bites back." So like I was definitely drinking like the pink Kool-Aid, and I think it took until the pandemic, honestly, for me to start seeing the cracks and all that, and the hypocrisy and just like the intellectual inconsistency. I'm a healthcare worker, so being able to see the way the pandemic was that side of it, and just the slipping of the pseudoscience and how it just became like an identity and a talking point and like virtue signaling more than it became about helping people and staying safe. And that was where I really started to see the cracks and start to think twice about all the things I had assumed were true for a long time.
Gosh, that is such a fascinating story. And people love to hear that. Ashley, we don't get credit for being right the entire time. You know, that's the thing is that society loves a convert. And as we know from having sort of, evolved away from the liberty cult, if you will, societies hate a heretic. And I'm feeling very much like a heretic. I'm feeling like a rebel among rebels lately. And we're going to talk about that a little bit closer to the end of the segment. But like, let's keep it sort of broad based now. I'm not sure if you heard earlier in the show, but I was talking about this study that came out that showed that the percentage of college students who are self-identifying as LGBTQIA+ is starting to go down. And the assumption would be that people are just tired of it, or that it's not a rebellion anymore to identify as, I don't know, queer, LGBTQIA+. So talk to about it from your perspective. Do you believe it? Do you think that it's starting to recede? Good thing, bad thing for our society? Talk to us a little bit about that.
I think it speaks to like a histrionic nature. The culture itself, like selfie culture, and the fact that, people want to have the post with the most likes could breed some histrionics in kids. And I think it was trendy for a while to say you were trans, and it's a good way to get attention. And it's the same was true when I was in high school, and there were two girls who may or may not have been gay who were definitely making out in the hallway. And it's like, it's one thing to just be like, this is who I am, and I want to be myself, but I want to be left alone, treated like everybody else. And it's another thing to be like, this is who I am, respect it, use my pronouns, give me all the attention that I want, find me attractive. You have to date me, even if I have a P where you'd rather see a V. And it's just, I think there's probably just some of the luster has worn off for the histrionic kids, maybe for their parents who in really young kids were pushing them into it. But also it's like at the same time, maybe they just realized they didn't get what they wanted out of it. And they're just like, okay, like that didn't work out for me. It didn't make me feel special. It didn't make me feel loved. So I'm just going to move on to the next thing.
Hannah, anything that you could add to that? Agree, disagree?
I think it's interesting that these things go in trends at all, right? Like, because it's supposed to be about who we are, what we find attractive, who we love. The fact that it obeys trends and you see like these like ebbs and flows is interesting. Going back to my like convert past, if you want to call it that, I remember being in an argument with leftist friends one time about whether or not I was bi or pan. And I had like kind of recently come out as bi, and a group of friends were like arguing with me about what I was. Like they thought they knew better than I did. And so it's like people are so convinced that they have a definition, like this is a box and people belong in this box. And I think there's pressure, whether it's as outright as what I experienced or not. I think there's this like societal pressure, like, hey, you belong over here. And I think a lot of people are susceptible to that. I don't know where we started telling people who they are, like why that became a thing, but I'm definitely seeing it. And it's nice if kids are at least starting to see that they have an option. no one gets to tell them who they are.
Well, it's fascinating because being bisexual as you are, what I have heard from the community is that the bullying of bisexual people has stepped up in recent years because sort of what you're describing, which is this dynamic, because in some ways it reinforces a binary, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Talk
absolutely.
to that.
Yeah, I was in high school the first time I came out. And then, I think like I was just still growing up. So I, for a while, I still went back to identifying as straight, but I was 17 and I thought Angelina Jolie looked pretty good in Tomb Raider. And we don't know how these things happen, but
she did.
But basically, I had a friend who he identified as homosexual, and he was like, no, bi is just you're on the road to gay. It's just a pit stop on the road to gay.
They do that to men. They do that to men, especially very much. Yeah.
Exactly. I feel especially bad for bisexual men. I think we're both of the opinion, and it's just an opinion, that everybody is a tiny bit bisexual, like in the right circumstances. But I don't think society gives people much room for that, and especially men. Like, there's no room for that. It's like if you have that at all, you're just gay.
First
and
of
it's
all,
so unfair.
I don't know if that's true. You did say everybody, but I'm going to say absolutely not. And the social cost of me agreeing with you on that is so high that I have to ensure that it seems like I'm joking, so nobody could ever misconstrue me as being gay. Because then once you lose your man card as a straight guy, you say anything. I mean, we've kind of got the knives to our throats. You get the Katy Perry "I kissed a girl and I liked it." We have to suffer.
Yeah. There is sort of a double edge to that. Like, nobody takes a bi girl seriously, right? It's like, oh, you're looking for a free drink with your girlfriend at the bar, or it cuts both ways. But I agree that men have more to lose and more at stake, and that's like the left wants to call themselves feminists, and that's how you treat men. Like, what? So it doesn't line up.
Hannah, what was it like? Did you lose friends when you went from far left to center right? What was your personal experience when you walked away from the cult?
It was very isolating. I will say, of the friends I had 5 years ago, I have one left. And it was heartbreaking. I questioned myself. I would question how people saw Ash, because that was the time in my life where I did start asking these questions, and she taught me a lot. So it's like, they're just thinking that I'll agree with whoever I'm dating at the time. I know it affected like my family dynamic a little bit, where I had argued with some people pretty fervently when I was on the left, and now I'm on the right. And where does that put me with this person? I tread more carefully, like at work, amongst new people I meet. It's definitely made me more cautious and less open. Very isolating. There's no room, just like there's no room to change your mind. And I think that's the scariest thing, is like you are losing that ability to pick and choose your truth subject by subject. And now it's like these two huge categories that you have to subscribe to. Now,
my brother has gone through a similar evolution. He was never hard left. He was always more of like a reasoned centrist Democrat type. But now he's full blown signed up for the Sons of the American Revolution with me. He's waving American flags. He sees the threat, not just to American civilization, but to Western civilization as a whole. And this is how I'm going to use us to kind of like sideways discuss some of the more topical issues regarding where the liberty movement in the United States is headed, because I noticed a bunch of sneaky likes on some of my posts recently. I don't know if Ashley and Hannah are of like mind on the question of Israel, Western civilization, Thomas Massey, where the libertarians are on that question. But I have sort of been a heretic lately on the Israel question, just because I don't know. I don't really identify with the white supremacists like Groyper types.
Yeah. How dare you?
I don't get along with them that well.
Yeah, it's I really have followed so many people on social media and just like the up and comers for years. And the minute that, it seemed to me that people were just unresearched, and maybe they were flashy and everyone was following them, but I didn't really get that they knew what they were talking about. I just kind of stopped paying attention. But I feel like ever since this Israel-Gaza conflict has, hit the forefront, there are people you can unfollow that will end up in your feed. And it's just like they're rabidly misinformed, angry, and like you hate to say it because the minute you say they're Jew haters.
Yeah, can we just say Jew haters? Because it's better than anti-Semite, because I feel like it really just gets down to the you avoid the whole, it's like when you call them woke right, they're like, and it's kind of like, here's the thing, there is a woke left. Everybody, I think, will agree. There are woke left libertarians, right?
Yeah.
There are woke right libertarians.
Exactly.
And they're usually, the woke is unified all in their hatred for Israel and by default, the Jews.
Mm-hmm.
There will be some who will try and say anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. And those people I always find fascinating, because it's like I didn't just hear a 30-minute lecture about like why we need to burn the Jews and do the Holocaust, right? So there's a lot of gaslighting going on in this conversation, but it involves specifically Thomas Massey because, he's really made an enemy of the AIPAC lobby. And so therefore a lot of the people who, whether they're libertarians or not, sort of see Thomas Massey as their guy, a lot of these Groyper accounts, which makes, of course, for odd bedfellows, because I like Thomas Massey. I support Thomas Massey, but now I'm surrounded by people whose entire identity is aimed at destroying the passion project of my life, which is limited government and liberty and individualism.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the exact same boat as you, because I love Thomas Massey. He was my favorite member of Congress, still is. But as much as I agree with him that we should not be spending all this money on foreign aid, and I wouldn't give anything to anybody, I think not supporting Israel, at least like not acknowledging that there are only real friend in that region, that it's the only place where gay people can have a civil union, where everyone, depending on their faith, they're just going to have the same rights as everybody else. It's like, if you're not acknowledging that, can you really be pro-liberty?
Well, what you have to understand, Ashley, you're right. I agree with you. But what you have to understand about the actual Jew haters is that what you just identified is actually, they feel the opposite way. That they're looking at what you just said, and they're like, yeah, Israel allows gay people. That's why I prefer Gaza. That's why I prefer the Palestinians to the Jews, because the Jews are liberal.
Yeah, I guess, and I don't mean to like drop names, but it's like somebody who I really believe is not a crazy person is Dave Smith.
Okay.
And I watched him for years on Kennedy, and I always liked him. And now it's like, why on this one particular issue are you not making any sense as somebody who has always professed to be so pro-liberty? It's like, I don't think Dave Smith hates gay people. No. It's like, what's going on? Like, I really want to understand.
It feels like he's sort of almost being puppeteered, right? Or that he's got like the woke mind virus to some extent. I mean, if you know anything about anti-war comm, and you know anything about sort of like the darker elements of the libertarian movement, which I've seen, then you know that there has always been this sort of special hatred for Israel and by proxy the Jews. I don't know, Dave's mind. I would love to ascribe to him the benefit of the doubt, but he doesn't seem to be earning it from what I'm telling. Especially because when we had a debate a couple of years ago, I realized how woefully uninformed he was. And there are rhetorical tricks that you can use to build a cult audience, not based on any level of intelligence. I think Candace Owens is a perfect example of that. But by using rhetorical tricks to build a cult audience. Not because superior argumentation, because I knew that what Dave was doing was rhetorical tricks in order to confuse people from the fact that he had no concept of the true titanic war of civilization between Israel and Hamas. I actually thought when Douglas Murray and he on Joe Rogan, when he said, "Have you ever been there?" They were mocking that. They were mocking that, and I was kind of like, travel is fatal to prejudice and bigotry, as Mark Twain, my fellow Missourian, said. So if you did go there, you probably would have a better idea of what the hell's going on in the ground. You don't have to go there to know a lot about it, per se. But but there's a strange celebration of ignorance. I remember I said, you need neocon friends to sort of hear people who disagree with you so that you can understand how to argue better against them. He's like, you need fewer neocon friends. And I thought about it. I'm like, this is a celebration of ignorance. This is a celebration, and it is ignorance, in my opinion. I mean, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because I'm definitely cast out for being nice to Jews these days. But I have to defend the truth when I see it. Ashley, Hannah, agree, disagree, something in between?
Definitely agree. And it's one of those things where you can say, I'm just asking questions, or this is just my opinion. And then you take the onus of the truth and any facts off of your plate completely. Right. And then you just get to be out there having your opinion. When in reality, when he talks to people like Brandon Tatum or Coleman Hughes, and they tell him historically why he doesn't know what he's talking about, he just then waits for the segment to be over and then monologues on Twitter because of what he couldn't do on a live stream. Right. And to me, that's just disingenuous.
Yeah, I knew he was in trouble when he brought up this talking point about like the water, like Israelis aren't allowing water to get into Gaza, and I was just kind of like, oh my God, that's like one of the most easily debunked talking points from the left that there are, which is that, first of all, Hamas steals all the water pipes and uses them for rockets. Second of all, Egypt absolutely could bring it in there. They're taxing their own people. It's like all of these things. And I realize it's coming from anti-warcom. It's coming from, the kind of Dallas Buyers Club looking people over at anti-warcom who, they've sort of like held them in thrall. They have a thrall in the United States. And it's weird because you don't really find this kind of, I don't know, ignorance overseas with liberty movements. You got Javier Milei, who friggin' rocks. But a lot of them, they don't like Javier Milei because Javier Milei likes Jews. Have you noticed that?
Yeah. And to me, it's like Hannah and I, we've got our passports, and it's like if things ever get really hairy, as long as Javier's there, we're going to Argentina. I'll hang out with all the former, the Nazi ancestors.
That's where Adolf Hitler went. He didn't die in the bunker. He went to Argentina.
There you go.
You guys are great. You've got your own show. It's called Red, White, and Bi. Tell us about it, ladies.
Basically, like, I have loved talking about politics forever. I thought it would have been really interesting to get Hannah involved because she has a more moderate voice to sort of rein me in from my far right radical for capitalism Ayn Rand stance and just bring me to the JFK era of lowering taxes but not being necessarily as wackadoo as I am. And I love her story.
Yeah, I think we have a good dynamic that way. She's so politically savvy and she knows so much. Like, you guys could probably talk all day and I could just like sit there and not. So I try to, like, honestly, I try to represent more of an everyman sort of perspective. Like, it's okay to admit you don't know about something. You don't have to have a rabid opinion and defend it just because you think you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. So I try to be there and just like represent someone who is asking questions, who hasn't made up their mind yet. And it's cool to watch the play of Ash's knowledge and my searching.
Honestly, I think that you guys have a place in this debate. We definitely need more voices like yours, rebels within rebel. I mean, you guys are kind of the epitome of the rebels within a rebels, that's the vibe over here at the For Liberty Network. Yeah. So let's definitely have you ladies back again soon. When's your next podcast coming out? When's the next episode of Red, White, and Bi coming out?
We typically release one every weekend. So we typically will record on Friday night and release it on Saturday.
There it is. So Saturday. So keep an eye out for this Saturday for the next edition. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on iTunes. Is there a website or anything they can go to, or what do you recommend?
Just Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. And we can also take your questions and engagement at our Gmail account, which is red, white, and the word and bi at Gmail.
There we go. Red, White, and Bi, Gmail. Ladies, you did a great job today. It was a pleasure to sort of meet you, I guess, in person. I guess, Ashley, you said that you had actually bumped into Steffi in a bathroom at an event. So
yes,
you've made physical contact with, I guess I think she was my future wifey at that point, but keep your dirty hands off her. She's mine, Ashley and Hannah.
Yeah.
I know about you bi girls. Stay away from her. Thanks, ladies. Have a great day.
Thanks
so much for having us.
Yeah, they were great. What do you guys think? Ashley and Hannah, fantastic, right? Wasn't that fun? You can text the show at 573-319-1586. It's time, guys, for us to play Liberty Loot Live. Now, here's how it works. If you want to play the game show, you have to contribute, or I have to have given you a free ticket earlier. You can still play the game. We've got about a minute until we play the Great Grift Off Liberty Loot Live. It's a game show. You're going to be able to play it on your phone from your home. You're just going to go to crowdparty.app. How did you get a ticket? Well, you had to get a text message. Did you make a Rumble Rant contribution today? Did you go to the Grift Shop? If you did, then you are entered to win, and everybody's going to win in the game that we're going to play right now on all of our mobile devices. Did you make a contribution to the Wake Up America show? Great. Well, then text that phone line right now, 573-319-1586. Brad has got the game code, so now we're waiting for him to send it out to you, and we are going to take a quick little break. When we get back, it's time for Liberty Loot Live, the Great Grift Off. Don't go away. I'm Austin Peterson. It's the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network.
Imagine bringing George Washington back to life. Just to explain that in 2025, men can get pregnant, waving an American flag might offend someone, and our government is $34 trillion in debt. But that's not all, George. We have drag queen story hour for toddlers, pronouns are mandatory, and Harvard can't define woman. Oh. And we send billions to Ukraine but can't fix potholes in Ohio. You know, just normal modern empire stuff. I'm sure he'd be totally cool with it. Right after he finishes reloading. He didn't cross the Delaware for this nonsense, but you can carry on the fight with gear that would have made King George cry. Shop bold, shop free, shop for libertyshop.com. Legend has it, back in 1773, a band of angry, overtaxed patriots stormed a British ship, found the king's favorite tea, and said, "This would taste better without the tyranny." Then they tossed it overboard. Fast forward to today. That revolutionary spirit lives on in Boston Harbor Black, the boldest brew in the 4 Libert tea lineup. It's dark, it's smooth, it's unapologetically American, just like the folks who drink it. Whether you're sweetening it up on the front porch or drinking it straight like a Minuteman before battle, this isn't tea for royalty. It's tea for rebels. No fake flavors, no corporate slogans, just a cold glass of Don't Tread on Me in liquid form. So skip the woke iced tea aisle and stock up on Boston Harbor Black at 4libertyshop.com. Because when the heat's rising, not all t-shirts are created equal. Some just sit there. Others start conversations. The ones at 4libertyshop.com, they raise eyebrows, win arguments, and occasionally get you banned from PTA meetings. Whether you're repping freedom, mocking tyrants, or just making the left squirm, we've got the gear that says what you're thinking. Loud, proud, unapologetic. Grab yours today at 4libertyshop.com. Because your shirt should speak louder than your neighbor's bumper sticker.
It's the Great Grift Off. Liberty Loot Live. Relaxing autumn jazz. For studying work, cozy coffee. It's time for us to play Falling for Autumn. Let's play. Get ready. Which of these birds do not migrate in autumn? Ravens, hummingbirds, swallows, or storks? Ravens. Good answer. Everybody wins on that one. Some of you got it faster than others. It's a little autumn jazz. Friendly fire. A random person is chosen. Quest always has this candle scent burning during fall. Take your best guess. We're just throwing a little monkey wrench in there. Quest Joe's apple cinnamon. Ooh, nice. Quest and Drew and Andy at the top. Get the right answer. We're doing a little autumn trivia this morning. People born during the fall season are likely to live longer. False or true? We got 12 rounds. True. Wow, I didn't even know that. Quest coming in strong at number 1. Drew Van Runkle. Minesweeper now. Find the diamonds, avoid the bombs. Playing on your mobile device. Little autumn jazz with the Great Grift Off. Liberty Loot Live. Our game show where you can win a real prize from the Grift Show. Mines. Drew, Quest, David in first, second, and third. Some more trivia for you, round 5. What causes leaves to change color during autumn? Lack of flavonoids, lack of betalains, lack of chlorophyllus. Chlorophyllus. Drew Van Runkle, David Lee, Quest. Oh yeah. When does the autumn equinox happen in the northern hemisphere? Ooh, September 22nd. Wow, you guys know about the equinox. Drew Van Runkle, David Lee, and Quests all skating. Get the answer. How heavy is the heaviest pumpkin ever recorded in the world? 1,200 pounds, 2,200 pounds, 2,700 pounds, or 1,600 pounds? What kind of trivia question is that? Round 7. Who's going to come out a winner? Ooh, only one man. Drew Van Runkle guessed that correct. Friendly fire. A random person is chosen. What is Andy Opperman's opinion on pumpkin spice lattes? He's going to type it in, and then you're going to have to guess. Not a fan, and you all guessed correctly. Wow. That just means that Drew Van Runkle's still in the lead, but David Lee and Quest are chewing on his fringe. What is David Lee dressing up for his Halloween? Spider-Man, dinosaur, or a witch? There. They all chose Spider-Man. Wow, David Lee. He's not going to let Drew Van Runkle just walk with this. We've got enough rounds for him to turn it around. You just received a gift. Will you accept it? You've got 15 seconds to decide. It could be poop, could take away points, it could add points. What is it? Oh, 100 points. Oh, David, you are so close. 2 more rounds. Random person is chosen. Pick what that person would pick. What is St. Selma's favorite season? Autumn. You guys are fast. Drew Van Runkle, David Lee, Quest. Drew's just racking up the prizes this week. Last round of trivia. What fall activity was once a British courting ritual? Apple picking, pie making, bobbing for apples, or pumpkin carving? Amy J. E's loves this new feature. It is fun, isn't it? We get to play a game show and there's real prizes. Bobbing for apples. Yes. Game over. Who's the winner? Drew Van Runkle. All right, Drew, we're going to send you a gift from the shop this morning. Keep an eye on your text messages. Thanks so much, everybody, for playing. Thanks for all your financial generosity. That's what makes it possible for us to give away all these great prizes, because you guys are freaking amazing and generous. So thank you very much. Drew will send you a text with your next prize. I know you already won a $25 gift certificate, so you're just going to be rolling it in this week. We're going to play this week. He wins every time. Quest, you were close. You were in second place. Drew's a very smart man, and he knows what love is. I want you to show me. Bye-bye, Kermode, Drew Van Runkle, Quest Fanning, Amy J. E's, BB for Liberty. I'll see you later. We've got T-Mill 22. She's going to join us at karate this week. Decision Points is here. Mongoose 87. See you guys. Don't forget tonight, Culturama, rumble.com/Culturama. Daniela Pensack going live tonight on the For Liberty Network. And I'll see you guys right back again here tomorrow morning on the Wake Up America shows For Liberty Network.
As promised, or threatened, if you wandered over to Reason by accident, the Trump administration has started using the government sort of shutdown as an opportunity to engage in mass layoffs of federal employees. In the game of chicken between Republicans and Democrats over just how much the government should overspend and on what, the losers so far appear to be some of the almost 3 million Americans who thought federal employment would be a comfortable way to collect a paycheck. Setting thousands of former government workers loose to seek jobs elsewhere, preferably not involving money forcibly extracted from taxpayers, is a step in the right direction. Shutdowns are mostly political theater. As we all should know by now, government shutdowns are largely political theater. National parks and museums are closed to inconvenience the public into believing something big is happening, even as taxes keep getting collected, and government enforcers continue twisting arms to make sure people comply with laws and rules that never should have been imposed. The Brookings Institution's David Wessel pointed out last week, the Justice Department said 90% of its employees would be exempted from the furlough, and the Department of Homeland Security said in its 76-page contingency plan that roughly 95% of its nearly 272,000 employees would remain on the job if a shutdown occurred. Agencies accomplish this by defining essential employees who remain on the job in the broadest way possible. Paychecks may be delayed during the shutdown, but after it ends, employees who were required to perform accepted work during the lapse will receive retroactive pay, and employees who were furloughed as the result of the lapse will receive retroactive pay for those furlough periods, according to the Office of Personnel Management. Basically, all federal employees eventually get paid whether they continue to work or are sent home for the duration of the shutdown. An opportunity to reduce the federal workforce. At least that's how it usually works. This time is a little different because the Trump administration came into office promising to downsize the federal government. The Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, was supposed to accomplish that goal, but the shutdown offers another opportunity. Even before furloughs began, the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, sent out a memo noting, with respect to those federal programs whose funding would lapse and which are otherwise unfunded, such programs are no longer statutorily required to be carried out. Therefore, consistent with applicable law, including the requirements of 5 CFR Part 351, agencies are directed to use this opportunity to consider reduction in force, RIF notices, for all employees in programs, projects, or activities, PPAs, that satisfy all three of the following conditions. 1. Discretionary funding lapses on October 1, 2025. 2. Another source of funding, such as H.R. 1, Public Law 119/21, is not currently available. And 3. The PPA is not consistent with the President's priorities. The White House is apparently taking this opportunity seriously. Around 4,200 employees were laid off in total on Friday, reports Eric Katz of Government Executive. The biggest cuts were at the Department of the Treasury, 1,146 employees, and the Department of Health and Human Services, between 1,100 and 1,200 employees. The Department of Education, which President Trump proposes to totally eliminate, also experienced layoffs, 466, or nearly 20% of its remaining workforce, as did the Environmental Protection Agency, Homeland Security, and Housing and Urban Development. Everything this administration does seems to involve a bit of chaos, and the latest rounds of reductions in force are no different. While hundreds of employees of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, were included in the layoffs, some were fired by accident and immediately rehired. Among those wrongly dismissed were the top 2 leaders of the federal measles response team, those working to contain Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo, members of the Epidemic Intelligence Service, and the team that assembles the CDC's vaunted scientific journal, the Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, according to Apurva Mandavili and Cheryl Gay Stolberg of the New York Times. That's unfortunate, but after the chaos inflicted on not just the United States, but much of the world by the public health establishment and its presumptuous interventions into business, education, social life, and the broader culture during COVID-19, it's difficult to summon much sympathy for CDC employees. If we end up cutting out a little healthy flesh along with the disease, perhaps they'll understand. In a sign of more layoffs to come, the OMB posted an October 14th statement on X promising to pay the troops, pay law enforcement, continue the RIFs, reductions in force, and wait for the end of the shutdown. Scratching Leviathan? While further reductions in the size of the federal workforce are certainly welcome, the layoffs will have to become significantly more aggressive to more than scratch the federal Leviathan. While smaller than its peak at 3.4 million workers in 1990 and then again in 2010, the federal government still employed 2.9 million people, not counting military personnel, as of August 2025. That's almost 3 million people living off the taxes collected by the federal government, or increasingly the money it borrows, rather than productively creating goods and services for willing consumers. And those nearly 3 million people aren't all just sitting around. Too many of them get up to mischief by exercising the power of the government to interfere in people's lives and to enforce intrusive rules and laws. Just see my comment above about the public health establishment and the pandemic. Fewer federal employees mean not so many mischief makers to cause trouble, along with some cost savings. Some will complain that the federal layoffs, like the shutdown, cause real inconvenience to those dependent on government, but that's only because government officials have done their best to create dependency on services, permits, and subsidies to make it seem like we need them. The problems expressed in political shutdown posturing and battles arising from government failure to perform duties it has arrogated to itself provide no endorsement for placing even more power over us into government hands. Pepperdine University economics professor Gary M. Gals observed in 2021, laying off government employees during a phony shutdown is a messy way to reduce the size of government.